All right, guys. So what I'm going to be going over today is, just the trade I took, and I'm kind of just going to go over how I go from the higher time frames to the lower time frames, kind of find my bias, all that good stuff, right? So essentially, coming into the day, what I was looking for, right, is where are we on the daily, right? So we have this 1 hour BISI, right? Pretty strong PD array. But at the same time, we have been pushing up a lot, right? We've been pushing up a lot this week in the past couple weeks. And on the weekly, I kind of wanted to see, either today hold this candle here as a bearish candle or a indecision candle. And, so either we can tap into this one today or, leave this one and open this one and tap into these two next week, right? So essentially what I do, see the daily, come into the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, I'm like, okay, we've been pushing down a lot. Where is our target, right? What's our target going to be for the rest of this week or next week? Again, probably that weekly BISI. And so essentially what I'm doing here is I'm like, okay, we've had a nice push down. What we need to do is retrace the equilibrium, right? So we retrace the equilibrium of this leg here. And there is a 4 hour CIVI there. You got two of them there. And I believe there were some 1 hours there as well. Yeah, a couple 1 hours, order blocks, whatever, right? So essentially what I'm looking for here is coming into market open, just kind of see what happens, because I don't really trade until 10 a.m., right? So I like to wait until 10 a.m. just to, get a little better bias idea of where price is likely to move, where it wants to go, right? So essentially what we do here, coming into the morning, we open up, get that news at 8:30, and I see this setup here, which is actually very, very nice at 9:30. So we have this 15-minute, BISI here. Let me go back a little bit. We got this 15-minute BISI here, right? So I see it's come down into this, and I'm watching that. We get a 3-minute inversion back to the upside, which is this is a nice setup. I'm not going to lie. So you could have taken this setup here, but again, I don't trade until after 10 a.m. And the reason for that is because I can see the 10 a.m. 4 hour PO3 a lot more clear, where the 4 hour candle wants to go, right? So nonetheless, essentially, I see this is happening, right? Very slow delivery, but a good setup. But I am monitoring for SMT. So when we got this push down in the beginning of the morning, we did not create any SMT with any of these lows down here. I do use time cycles as a confluence, if you guys are familiar with Zuessy. So these did not have any, SMT with ES or ES or YM. So that was kind of a little sus to me. And I didn't see any time cycle SMT there. So essentially, I was, again, waiting till 10 a.m., just as my normal rules follow. What do we get at 10 a.m., right? This is 10 a.m. candle here. So I'm already monitoring, looking for bearish SMTs at the moment. And what happens here is, let me go ahead and turn these drawings back on so I can show you guys. We get a SMT at previous day high with YM, right? So even before 10 o'clock, which I think, around like 9:40, we take out previous day high on YM. So we already have that bearish SMT in place. And so I'm monitoring that as, that's a pretty strong SMT. And what happens is we get that 10 a.m. open, we push up, ES creates an internal SMT, right? It was already pushing up there, right? But it created another wick, engineered liquidity below its previous day high. So I was like, okay, that's engineering liquidity to come back and get that later. So we're going to want to go down most likely now. And again, so we get that daily SMT, very strong, another internal SMT with NQ and ES. And that was a time cycle SMT as well, which I'll show you guys here. As you can see, we have the time cycles, the 90-minute cycles here. AMM, AMD, which is AM2 and AM3, right? ES actually takes out AM2's high. Boom. So that's an SMT between time cycles there, which is very powerful if you study Zuessy stuff. And 1 second, let me just turn this off. So again, once we see this, I'm like, okay, we got that SMT there. And then I was also monitoring, this is the 4 hour rejection block. I'll show you guys here. So when we obviously close at 10 a.m., we open a new candle. This is now a rejection block on the higher time frames, which is a very strong PD array. And ICT talks about them being one of the strongest PD arrays actually. So what you want to do is monitor the 25%, 50%, and 75%. And as you can see, we tap the 50% of that. And so what I do is scale down to the 1 minute. And actually, let me go back to the 5 minute and show you guys what my PD array was that I used. I actually So I did not see this 5-minute BPR here, right? Inversion plus a SIBI on top of it. And what I was looking for was, of course, a PD ray to trade up into as we open the new 4-hour candle. So what happens is, we get this push up, but of course I did not notice, and I wasn't really paying attention to that 5 minutes just because how small it was, but I also didn't see the BPR. So I kind of realized that after we get this closure, I'm like, okay, SMT with the daily high and the internal high, I'm like, okay, that's a pretty strong SMT. But what ends up happening is we get that inversion 1 minute right there. And I'm like, okay, that's really strong. And around this area here is when I realized, oh, we tapped into a 5 minute, so I can use that as my, time frame line PD array. So I take the 5 minute and we get the 1 minute inversion, and that is when I entered here. And of course, this would be the first target, but I didn't get out there just because I got in a little late. So that was the first target, go break even there. And then here was my second target, right? The ideal entry here would have been this. If I had seen that 5 minute BPR a little earlier, I probably would enter here and ended up getting out at that internal low, which would have been, a 2.5 R. But that's a very safe exit, right? You don't know always if it's going to go to the external drop. But nonetheless, I got in late. So around when this candle closed, I realized I got in late. Still about a 1 to 1.8 R, which isn't terrible, right? And especially on an evaluation, which is what I'm trading at the moment. Trying to pass some evals. So yeah, you get to tap into the 5 minute BPR. Time frame aligned entry would be either the 1 minute or 30 second. I just prefer a little bit higher time frame if you can get it, right? So you get that 1 minute inversion, and then we actually just get some serious displacement. I'm like, okay, this looks really good. Take out that low, go break even, and then due to consistency rules and stuff, I get out around there for a 1.6 R. So that was basically the trade. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll put my free Discord in the bio. It is completely free. It's just a community of me and a bunch of other people who are trying to learn. I kind of just put out daily analysis, journals, all that kind of stuff.